Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reel Me In, a movie podcast, where you didn't really ask for it, but hey, I'm going to give it to you anyways. This is a podcast where I talk about anything, everything, and anything about movies. I'm your host, Chase Lee, and hey guys, listen, if you were searching on the internet for something really weird and fucked up, but you accidentally came across this podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully I can convince you to be one. This is episode 163, guys, and if you're new to the show, welcome once again. What I do is I go over some movie news, some trailers that drop throughout the week, and I will have my reviews of movies that come out on the weekend, and of course the box office results for the weekend as well. Since this is episode 163, this week's episode, news, trailers, and my reviews of Silence and A Monster Calls. Both of them went wide this weekend, so I saw Silence yesterday. I saw Monster Calls like 2 months ago, so we'll see how that review goes, but no, it should be a fun time. But yeah, before we begin, let people know about this podcast. Give it a like, give it a review, spread it around, and let people know that this is the definitive movie podcast. All right, so without any further ado, guys, let's get this started. But first, how are you guys doing? This is the first show of the new year. All the top 10 and top 5 lists are out of the way, so we're back to the normal format, normal schedule. So I hope you guys have a great 2017, and we're just gonna continue to do this shit. It's gonna be another year of crazy psychotic madness. All right, so let's move on to some movie news, guys. All right, there's only a couple pieces of news that dropped. I mean, it makes sense. This week is kind of barren. Since, it's the first week after, the holidays and stuff. Hollywood's not really, up to speed just yet. They got to sleep for another week. But the first piece of news is that Woody Harrelson, good old Woody, he is in talks to join the Han Solo movie. Now, he is in talks to play, a mentor of some type to Han Solo. And I think that's perfect. What I've really liked about Woody Harrelson in the past few years is that, yes, he's been around for a very long time, but ever since True Detective came out, the first season with him and, with Matthew McConaughey, he has been on this hot streak where he's been in, The Hunger Games, or he's been in smaller films like The Edge of 17, or Out of the Furnace, or a couple other crime dramas, and then, of course, being in War for the Planet of the Apes, and now in talks to be Han Solo. It seems like Woody's really kind of having this resurgence, kind of like what McConaughey did in the McConaissance. So him joining Han Solo as a mentor type, I automatically thought of Haymitch from The Hunger Games, which is never a bad thing. But that's what I kind of imagine, this grumpy, dirty man, with long hair. It's just oh, Han Solo, all right, so we're gonna smuggle this. You ready for this? And I don't know, it's gonna be a very weird relationship. But I think with him in it, I think it totally fits in kind of that Star Wars universe. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, you guys know this, but him joining it, that just gets me more excited to even see it, or just be really curious as to what he's going to bring to the film, because he brings a lot of gravitas to whatever he does, whether it be good or terrible. And speaking of Star Wars, guys, I want to my thoughts and prayers are out to Carrie Fisher's family and whatnot for what happened. I know I didn't talk about it last week, but I realized that this death and the death of her mom has affected a lot of people. So my condolences to the family and whatnot. So yes, this episode will be dedicated to that family. The next piece of news. And plus, the whole Carrie Fisher and her mom thing will apply later in the trailer section, which is really cool. I'm glad this documentary is coming out. But we're jumping ahead. So, the last piece of news, guys, is that Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, you want to go fight? You want to go punch some meat? You want to go punch some meat, Adrian? Well, I will punch some meat for you. That was a terrible impression. Please don't take that to the bank. So, Sylvester Stallone is set to star and direct in a war vet drama called Tough as They Come with Adam Driver. Now, this is based on a true story of a veteran who lost all of his limbs, both legs and both arms, and now he has robotic legs and I think a robotic arm, and the other arm is not there. I don't think he got 2 robotic arms, but Sylvester Stallone is going to play the father figure, and Adam Driver is going to play the war vet that it's based on. This sounds really great. Listen, a lot of people don't really take Sylvester Stallone seriously as an actor. I think he's good for what he does. He's really great in the Rocky role. He's really great in the Rambo role. I enjoy the Expendables movies. His comedy chops are a little iffy, but he's really good at drama and really kind of bringing out the best performance that he can. When you watch Creed, you see that Sylvester Stallone can act. He is not just a meme, if you will. He actually is very good. So, and he's a good director too. So him kind of tackling this more like intimate, drama, playing the father of Adam Driver, which by the way, he was actually in the military. So I think this is a perfect casting, first of all. And Adam Driver, when we talk about Silence, later on, you'll realize that Adam Driver, he's just kind of exploding into the zeitgeist right now, especially after being Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. So this sounds really good. The title, it does sound like a cheesy like 80s action film starring Sylvester Stallone, but I have a feeling that if this film is delivered properly, we could see Sylvester Stallone get nominated for a director, maybe supporting actor, and Adam Driver being nominated. Because when Sylvester Stallone was nominated for last year's Oscars for supporting actor, that kind of showed me that he's kind of like at the point of his life where he wants to actually try harder and be a better filmmaker and be taken more seriously. So with that nomination and with this type of movie, we could possibly see Stallone get nominated for two separate things when this movie comes out, and plus maybe Best Picture. I have no clue how it's going to turn out, but this is great news, a great pairing, and it sounds like a great inspirational true story to tell, so I'm all for that. Who isn't for that? So that's it for the news, guys. Kind of a short news week, but let's jump on into some trailers. You guys ready for some trailer action? God, most of these trailers are so-so or terrible, and then the other half are pretty good. So let's start with the terrible ones first, and we'll work our way up. Rings. You guys remember this film that was supposed to come out in October? Well, Paramount. Good old Paramount was like, do you guys want to see Rings in October for a Halloween movie? Fuck no. We're going to put it in February because, who doesn't want to watch Rings on Valentine's Day and Netflix and chill with your loved one and then pop out a baby 9 months later? So, with Rings, I'm looking forward to it because I like the first one a lot. I didn't like the second one, but this trailer is just more of the same. It just kind of shows, Samara is just like, I'm going to kill you in 7 days if you watch this watch this video. So, with Rings, it's like, it's whatever. It's basically just an announcement trailer going, hey, you remember that movie that was supposed to come out last year? Well, it's coming out next month. It's okay. It's coming out. I'm actually looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I just want to see where they go with it. So, yeah, so the Rings trailer, it's whatever. Cars 3. This one is basically just a trailer of them announcing the new cars in the film, like Jackson Storm and Cruz Ramirez or whatever. What's really funny about Jackson Storm is that Jackson Storm is dangerously close to my guest from last week and the other week, Jackson Shrout. So their names are pretty close. So Jackson Shrout was actually based off of a Cars character, or vice versa. The Cars character was created after him. So that's Jackson's power in Hollywood. But yeah, the Cars 3 trailer, it's really nothing. It's just an introduction to these characters. The only reason I bring it up is because that teaser trailer that came out a couple months ago, where you had the car fucking tumbling on the tarmac or whatever, and it said, from this moment on, everything will change. And it took this dark route, as if Christopher Nolan produced this movie. So when you have that, and then you have this kind of lighter trailer going, here's the new characters. It's what kind of tone you going for, Pixar? Cars has really never been my favorite franchise out of that, company. It's just, I found the tone kind of conflicting with the first one that we got, so it's just kind of weird, to be honest with you, but it's whatever. Moving on to the next trailer. This one isn't terrible, but I'm really curious about it. It's called Don't Knock Twice, and it's a horror film. Basically, if you knock on the door once, you she like knows you're there or something like that. If you knock twice or whatever, you summon the demon in this house or whatever. It doesn't look really good. The only reason I kind of am curious about it is because it stars Katie Sackhoff. And she was in the really kind of underrated film of 2014, Oculus. I love Oculus. That was a really great, not even a horror film. It was like a horror thriller almost. It had more psychological thriller elements than horror, but I really enjoyed Oculus, and I thought she did really good in it. So if she picked that project and that did very well, who knows? Maybe this trailer is just awful, but maybe she picked this one because it had a good script or something. So I don't know. It looks like a throwaway horror film, but with Katie Sackhoff attached to it, knowing that she was in Oculus, which you guys need to see, I'm okay with that. Like it sounds like it has some potential because of her name involved. The next trailer, it's not really a trailer. It's just more of an announcement video, and I'm just going to geek out about it because I fucking love this franchise. It's The Cult of Chucky, and this is the 7th or 6th Chucky film. Wait. I think it's the 7th because you have Child's Play 1, 2, 3, Bride, Seed, Curse, now Cult. Okay, so it's 7. It's not really a trailer. It's just more of an announcement of clips from the other movies, and it says, this fall, the new one comes to Blu-ray and DVD because it's going to go straight to there. Listen, on like a cheese-tastic like enjoyment level, I fucking love this franchise. I own all of them, and I have no regrets. I actually went to a pawn store like one day. It was in 2013, I believe, and I saw Curse of Chucky, and I was like, oh, that's the new one. I bought it for like $5, and then I just enjoyed it. It was so campy and so darkly comedic that I love the route that they took with this franchise, because if you watch the first 3, it's more, they go for that slasher horror feel. If you watch Bride, which is the 4th one, they kind of take it to more of that comedic kind of dark comedy route, and you're like, this kind of works for this type of character, because Brad Dourif, he kind of brings that like sinister, like funny, likable sense of humor and personality to Chucky. And I kind of love him. Like he's one of my favorites to watch. So Cult of Chucky, I'm excited. I'm probably the only one that listens to this podcast that does like it. Let me know out there if you guys like the Chucky film. I'm probably the only one. The next trailer, it's called The Lovers, and this is about 2 people that are lovers, but they are in other relationships. Ooh. The only reason I bring this one up is because it's going to be released by A24, and I think this is their first one of 2017. A24 is one of my favorite film studios. When you think about what they did last year with like Green Room or Moonlight, or even the year prior with like Room and Slow West and 2014 had Enemy and Under the Skin. Before that, people really love Spring Breakers. I didn't, but every single year, like they'll have like a slate of movies, and you're just so fascinated because they're all so very different from one another. And this one, it just looks like a really kind of quiet, intimate love story, and I want to see it strictly because of A24. So yeah, I'm excited for it. So I'm gonna be excited for any A24 film, but it comes out in February, I believe, so very, very soon. It will be the first one that they release this year. And the last trailer, and speaking of Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, her mother, this documentary is called Bright Lights, and this basically just kind of shows them pretty much, because they filmed it last year, so, a year before their death, or maybe 2 years before their passing. Just kind of shows them in their older stages in life, and just kind of reminisce on, what they've brought to Hollywood, and just all this stuff, and it looks like a really great, funny documentary. Like when you see the trailer, you see that Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds really had like this glowing personality that just attracted people to them. And they're very, very funny. Like, I always knew Carrie Fisher was funny. When I saw the roast of her done by Comedy Central, I was laughing really, really hard when she fired back at everyone. So I know that she's kind of got that charm and that wit about her that makes her really inviting. And then Debbie Reynolds is just a classic actress that's been around the business for decades. So a lot of people are really upset that this documentary is kind of coming out so soon after their passing. But you guys have to realize they shot this documentary way before any of this ever took place. So, yes, it is very weird, awkward, even a little bad timing. But at the same time, they filmed this without the notion that they were going to even pass to begin with. So it's no one's fault. And they were going to release it this year anyways. It's just very, like I said, kind of like that awkward timing where it's like, oh, they just passed. But like, you know, this is a documentary that would just kind of embrace their life and kind of celebrate their life and not really be like a downer, just more of like a celebration of what those two achieved in the industry. So yeah, it looks like a really fun documentary, and I will definitely want to check it out. It definitely sold me as a trailer. I love the camaraderie that Carrie Fisher had with her mom. It's a very interesting mother-daughter dynamic to where like they don't care what they say in front of each other. It's just kind of like they're best friends, and there's something kind of adorable about that, and I love it. So yeah, the documentary looks really good. So that's it for the trailers, guys. My favorite one of the week, probably the Bright Lights documentary one. I would have gone Cult of Chucky, but it was not a trailer. It was just an announcement trailer, basically saying we're shooting in a week and then we'll come out this year. Which, by the way, that's impressive to me that, you know, films like a Chucky film, yes, I realize there's not much to do. It can shoot, edit, and come out in 10 months versus like some of these movies that take like 5 years. Anyway, side note. All right, so that's it for the trailers, guys. That is it for the apps. The appetizers, they're out of the way. They're out of our system. Let's get into the meat of this episode, the what you've all been waiting for, my reviews of Silence and A Monster Calls. Now I'm going to start with Silence first because it's I mean, both these movies are very heavy emotionally, but I want to do Silence first just because I saw it last night and it's a little bit more potent in my mind. So yeah, let's get real and break down Silence. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. It took me a couple hours to get the courage to talk about this movie. And I don't mean like I was nervous to like review it or whatever because I didn't know what to talk about. I was nervous because as a person that isn't religious, I mean, this film, it definitely opens up your eyes a lot more, and it definitely kind of shows you a more appreciation for people that do follow a certain faith. So I just want to get that out of the way right now. I am not religious, and even after watching this movie, I'm still not, but I have a deeper appreciation for religion than I ever did in my life. I think, honestly, this is the best movie about religion I have ever seen, until I watch some more. But because this isn't a religious movie. And what I mean by that is these religious movies that come out like God's Not Dead or Son of God, Risen, what else has come out? Fucking Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. Those films to me are fake. And they kind of glorify this like, you know, happy-go-lucky, everything is all hunky-dory type of deal, and doesn't really ever question anything. And those movies are made for a specific audience that love those movies. They will feel good about themselves and go home. Silence, on the other hand, they ask a lot of questions, but never really have any answers in the most brutal, powerful way that you can ever describe about religion. Now, before I get into my review, I'm going to say some certain things. As a person of no faith and no religion, no faith, reviewing this film, I'm going to say some stuff to get my point of view of someone that isn't following Christianity or any religion, my point of view is going to be very different than someone who is religious. And I just want everyone out there to know, everyone that's listening, if you are religious, I am not attacking you. I am not attacking anyone. I think anyone that follows any religion that uses it for good, you got mad respect from me. It's the people that take advantage of it and use it to corrupt people and whatnot, but that's the same for any religion. There's thousands of religions out there, and when you take something and you corrupt it and you twist people's minds and into hate and really just kind of twist everything and twist the message that it was intended for, that is what really pisses me off. So I'm going to review this as someone that does not go to church, does not pray, does not do any of that, and I just, I'm not here to piss anyone off. I just want to try to be as truthful and honest as I can. So without further ado, let's get into this. I will be talking about religion. I will, because this movie is 3 hours worth of that. So I kind of have to. And I realized that one of my great listeners, commented on one of my episodes because I went on this religious rant, and I apologize because, this is a movie podcast. It's not a religious podcast. But dealing with this movie, I kind of have to dive into the religion aspect a lot and my kind of point of view on it. So, once again, just to clarify, not here to make anyone mad. I'm just trying to be as honest and truthful as possible, and just from my eyes. So, hopefully, you can, just appreciate the review, and then, fire back in the comments, and if I'm, getting something wrong or whatever. But this is my review of Silence. Martin Scorsese. You guys ready for this shit? I was so excited to see this movie, and I remember when it came out in December, in limited release, people were just talking about it. They were fucking raving about it, and I was like, oh yes, please, Martin Scorsese, come here. Martin Scorsese is one of my favorite directors of all time. When you think about Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, Hugo, The Aviator, The Departed, The Wolf of Wall Street, King of Comedy, After Hours, the guy has made such an eclectic type of collection of movies. It's just amazing to me that as old as this man is, he still continues to kind of revitalize and make fresh content that doesn't even seem like him. Silence is the most non-Scorsese movie done by Scorsese I've ever seen. It had elements of a Scorsese film, but overall it did not even feel like a Martin Scorsese film. And it's very weird that his previous film was Wolf of Wall Street, which was very a lot of cursing, coke, sex, nudity, prostitutes, deception, corruption. It's amazing that he went from that to this, but Silence is a passion project of this man. He's been wanting to do this for 30 years. So the fact that we finally get to see it on screen and see what he's been kind of passionate about this whole time, it was a real marvel to see. So let's get real and break down Silence, because I can tell you guys right now, I wish I would have saw this last year because it would have been in my top 10. All right, I'm going to try my best. Like I said, I mustered up the courage to actually try to record because this movie's heavy to talk about. All right, so let's start with the writing and directing. Let's start with the writing in particular and the story and the characters. Now, this movie is based on a book of real-life priests back in the 1600s who went to Japan to spread Christianity. A lot of them were persecuted, decapitated. Japan was not having it because they believed in Buddhism. And so when people from Europe would try to bring Christianity over, they were not having it. They were, capturing them, torturing them, and making them denounce their faith in front of them and convert them and basically keep them hostage and, be like Japanese spies or whatever, and condemn people that bring in Christian memorabilia and whatnot, and just pretty much keep them, hostage their whole life. So in this story in particular, we have Father Ferreira, played by Liam Neeson, very wonderfully by him. He goes to Japan, tries to spread the faith of Christianity, and he gets captured. He sends a letter to the church in Portugal, and there is another father there who describes that Liam Neeson is captured to two priests played by Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield. And so Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield, they tell him, we got to go save Father Ferreira. So they go on this journey to Japan to try to save him. And, along the way, they encounter people of the Christian faith in Japan. And so they kind of have to be in hiding, and, they get tortured by a lot of Buddhists and whatnot. And it's just, it's a heavy story. And for 3 hours, Martin Scorsese really kind of hammers you in the head. It's not in an overdone way. It's basically to show you the devastations that people went through when people questioned their beliefs and they would not back down. And for that 3-hour runtime, you kind of felt the psychological torture that Scorsese was trying to implement on the characters, but you were being implemented on as an audience member to really kind of question faith in general and just how powerful it is to some people, and does it even really matter? Is anyone listening when you're actually praying? That's what I love about this film, is it doesn't shy away from religion, and like, oh yeah, we're gonna gloss over, it's gonna be no, like, they ask questions and they really kind of test people's faith, into even having some of the priests in the movie questioning their own faith. And like, that to me is just something very powerful, because religion itself is an interesting concept to me. I don't believe in it personally, but I don't fault people that do. And people from all different backgrounds, they believe in certain religions for a specific reason. Some of them, they feel like it's the kind of like that soft blow, if you will, for when they die and they pass on to another life. They want to be comforted in the face of death. Some of them do it for redemption. Some of it do it to cleanse themselves morally, spiritually, all that stuff. Some of them actually do follow Jesus Christ and, the actions that he did for mankind. Like, there's many types of reasons that people follow religion. And so you see that throughout this movie, that people follow Christianity for a certain reason versus like Buddhism and whatnot. And so I really like the fact that they kind of like tackle these harsh kind of subject matters of religion and not really kind of gloss over it in like a Hollywood form. So that, as far as the story goes, it's super riveting. I mean, when you have Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver go to Japan to try to rescue this, priest, you see at the beginning of the film, they are determined, they are ready to do it. They're, providing confessional time and praying for the people that are Christians in Japan. And then when you see them at the end of the movie, they have such a major character arc. Like, you felt that kind of personal journey that they went through as an audience member. And that story is just so epic and so sweeping. But at the same time, it is devastating to watch, because you're seeing these priests questioning their faith over and over again. You have these Buddhist priests trying to denounce Christianity from them. Like, that is psychological torture. And knowing that, Andrew Garfield doesn't really give up and Adam Driver doesn't really give up, and they fight all the way until the end, and it's just crazy to me that people, back in the day and even now, can look at another religion and not respect it and say, my God is better than your God. I got news for you, folks. Even if I was a Christian, you need to respect other people's faiths. There are thousands of religions, and you're saying that you have the best God? When back in the 1600s, when they tried to spread Christianity to Japan, it was a selfish move. Because if Japan has a different religions such as Buddhism, and you have people like going over to the parts where Buddhism is very popular and they're trying to convert people, that's not something you need to do. Like, because like I said, when people are convicted in their own beliefs, they're not going to change. And that is what this movie kind of highlights, is that people of the Christian faith do not break, and they do not, some of them do, just so they don't get tortured, but like, they stick to their faith because it is what they believe, and they feel like their beliefs are being challenged, and they want to stick by their beliefs and not have anyone take a hold of them. So it is kind of wrong for what Europe, kind of did in terms of Christianity, in terms of like spreading amongst people. I don't do that. Like, if you have a religion, don't hammer it on people, because a lot of people believe in certain things, and that's kind of like the beauty of religion in itself, is that there's so much diversity in terms of what people believe and whatnot. I get what they were going for, is like, these priests were just, they think they were doing good, but they were doing more harm than good. But the charm about this movie is that, what you believe in is very powerful when you stick by those beliefs, even when people try to question you and beat you and stuff. There was something kind of powerful about that, and that was 3 hours worth of that, following these characters, and that in a story that does raise questions on if religion is real, or if God is real, or if you do have a prayer, do they listen? And it's just one of those stories that you could sit through and experience, but I honestly don't know if I would want to watch it again. And that's like one of my only flaws about the movie, is the rewatchability rate. I don't know if I want to sit through that again. It was a wonderful experience, just seeing this story kind of take place and see kind of the arcs in the priest and the characters themselves. It was wonderful. It was some of the best character arcs I saw from a movie in 2016. I'm going to count it as a 2016 film. I'm not going to count it as 2017 because that's when it came out. But Liam Neeson's character, Andrew Garfield's character, Adam Driver's character, everyone's got an arc. And it was really well done. Even though it was 3 hours of basically the same thing, there was still some character growth in there to make you actually care for them when shit hit the fan, essentially. So the story itself and the writing is so good, and I loved most of the monologues that Andrew Garfield had, and you're sitting as an audience member really kind of questioning your faith and kind of questioning faith in general, and it was really just kind of like a communal experience to really kind of question everyone. And I really kind of enjoyed that writing-wise. And directing-wise, Martin Scorsese, once again, he creates long movies, but he creates them in such a way to where it lets the film breathe, and it lets the material kind of breathe, and so you can soak it in, because it's a lot of stuff. It's very heavy stuff, and you're sitting there trying to absorb everything, and so that's why Scorsese does make these long movies, so you can kind of gather this information and really kind of sit there and contemplate in your seat as you're watching it. But his directing style, once again, very slow, very epic, very drawn out. It's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. The locations are so beautiful, and he kind of really highlights the beauty of Japan while having the horrors happen within it. Like, it's kind of like that wonderful contrast where, like, the environments look so damn good, but what's actually happening on a more human level is very horrific. And Martin Scorsese himself, says this is not a religious movie. It's just a movie about a religion, and he likes to really kind of, like I said, question faith in general. And I really like that. He didn't sugarcoat it. He took chances, and I really liked his style on this, and really kind of doing something completely different than like his gangster movies or his kid film like Hugo or Wolf of Wall Street or whatever. It's definitely a more challenging film than anything he's ever done, and I commend him for trying something different, especially since this was his passion project. But going back to the epic scope of it, when you have like the locations and the beautiful imagery of the forests and the villages and stuff, it's just, I can't believe that he actually shot on some of those locations, and it was just so gorgeous to watch, and it really kind of adds like that old school classic flavor of like Japanese cinema, Americanized as best as it could, and I kind of felt that it was like the merging of two different cultures, really kind of coming together as one cohesive piece that's really powerful, and really kind of just takes you on this ride. That's what Scorsese does best, is take you on this emotional, spiritual ride. And even at the end of the movie, you're kind of sitting there with your mouth dropped because you're like, holy shit. So I think what Scorsese did was adapted this book very well. I have not read the book, but just from the way it played on screen, I thought it flowed so well. And I thought Scorsese did a very, very good job, but I don't really know if I want to rewatch it again. Sorry. Going into the acting, Andrew Garfield is fantastic. The pain and suffering that he goes through, as a character, even if he was a priest or not, just as a character, when you see the mental breakdown that he has, like, towards the middle and the end of the movie, you kind of feel for him. It's like, this is a guy that's just trying to do some good and really kind of spread the Christianity faith, but he's being tortured while doing it, and it's just, people are dying because of him, and it's such an emotional toll that he takes as a character that you kind of feel for him every step of the way, and he kind of makes this journey watchable because his performance is that damn good. And even like when his faith is being questioned by a bunch of Buddhists, and really kind of highlighting the fact that Buddhism and Christianity have similarities, he's completely denying and whatnot. That goes back to what I was saying, earlier with the whole, there are thousands of religions out there, not one religion is right, and this is what causes religious wars, because when you have a religion, you are dead set that your God is the right God. And so this film kind of shows that the Buddhists and the Christians, they think that their God is correct, but they sit down and reflect on it and go, look what this is causing. Look at what sacrifice you're doing and harming these people, because they're killing themselves for you. And so you kind of go, wow, that's kind of fucked up on a certain level, that these people would die, and this priest would have to watch, and all he does is he prays throughout the movie, and then people will literally talk to him in his face and go, you're praying to nothing, you're doing nothing, these people are dying because of you. And you kind of sit back and go, wow, that's really never done in a religious type of movie before, where people actually question the actions that they're doing, not just kind of gloss over it. So Andrew Garfield is so good. I wish he would get nominated for both, to be honest with you. Hacksaw Ridge and this, he's just that good. Adam Driver, that guy lost a lot of weight for this movie, but he's also a nice touch. He's a great supporting actor for the film, and he does a really great job. And there's a moment in the movie where I really felt for his character big time, and it kind of made me shed a tear a little bit. But the best supporting actor by far, well, there's two of them. The guy that plays the Inquisitor, forgot his name, I apologize, but he's really good. It's very odd because he has a dark comedic sense to him. He is played by a comedian, but Scorsese really kind of uses his scenes to be the levity in the film, which is very odd considering that he's the one killing all these people. So I found that interesting, but he was kind of really alluring, and I really just wanted to kind of hear him talk and whatnot. But he did a really good job. But my favorite supporting actor thus far in the review is Liam Neeson. The journey that he takes as a person, and when you see him at the end, knowing what he did, and there's a certain scene at the end where him and Garfield are talking, and they pretty much lay faith and religion out on the table for everyone, and they basically, question the existence of God in general. And I was like, damn, that was a powerful scene to really kind of showcase what these people did to Liam Neeson's character and really kind of broke him down to a shell of a man. Like, he wasn't even like coherent anymore. He like, it just felt like he was lifeless, and you saw the pain and suffering behind him, but you know that he wasn't himself. Excuse me, had a sneeze there. But I really love his character transformation from what you see at the beginning versus what you see at the end. It's just, it's subtle too. It's not really like over the top. It is a subtle transformation that Liam Neeson totally delivered, making it one of the best performances I've seen him do in years. And that scene, Andrew Garfield, it is rough to watch. Yeah, so the acting all around, fantastic. All the supporting players, for when they get to Japan and whatnot, everyone did so good. And I realized that English is not their first language of these actors that were casted, but I thought they did a very good job. And no one really sounded, too hard to hear or whatever. I thought it was just the right amount. Well, shit, now that sounds terrible when I say it. I realize English is a hard language to learn, so what I'm saying is they did a very good job for the amount of dialogue that they had, and I commend them, because English is a tough fucking language. Our language is fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, I thought all the supporting players in Japan were really well done, and I really kind of felt for them every step of the way, even towards the end when some of them met their demise, unfortunately. So, yeah, moving on to cinematography. Once again, gorgeous. I love the greens in the forest. I love the wide angles. I love the wide shots and the establishing shots of the mountains and the fog, and it really kind of sets this like dreaded mood and atmosphere while still being kind of hopeful. Like that's what I really liked about some of the shots, was like it'd be like a very mountainous shot with like fog rolling in, but you would see the green kind of pop out in like luscious forms, and you're like, yeah, that's a really great like contrast there of like the dread that's about to happen over them while still having like hope, within them. So cinematography is beautiful. It is gorgeous, and they even had some really cool camera techniques. One of which was inside of a cage. I'm not gonna say what happens or who's in or whatever. I'm just gonna say it's in a cage where the camera would move from left to right, and the camera would stop right on a sliver of openness from one wood plank to another plank. So you're literally like filming in like the middle of a 1-inch diameter like space, and like the characters are there, and it would go back and forth like that. And I was like, damn, this like takes some concentration in terms of planning it out, and really kind of directing it in such a way to where like you need to tell the actors to hit those types of spots so the camera can hit in between those two planks, because if they don't hit between the two planks, the shot's ruined. And it did that a few times. I was like, that's some really good camera work there, Scorsese. But then again, he always has great cinematography. But I really liked the locations, like I said, very beautiful. And I thought he really kind of captured the 1600s very well with the props and the art direction and stuff, and really kind of making a movie as like a time capsule. And I really appreciated that from Scorsese. But if you watch movies like Hugo, and that was set in the silent film era, I thought he did a really good job with like kind of art direction and props and stuff, and it kind of made the cinematography pop even more. So it kind of had that same effect. Editing wise, guys, listen, the movie's almost 3 hours long. It is a psychologically torturous movie to sit through, but in the best way possible. A lot of people will look at this and go, well, that was too long. It was just the same thing over and over and over again. That's the point. The point is to watch these priests get tortured and tortured and tortured, and have them denounce their faith in front of these Buddhists. Like, it's going to take a while to break Christian priests into denouncing their faith. When you see these characters at the beginning of the movie, they are strong. They are convinced like Christianity is their thing. But when they get there and they start questioning everything and like they start getting, beaten up and like really kind of talked down to, like it's kind of devastating when you see like what happens at the end and you're like, damn, dude, like that was just an emotional journey from start to finish, and I kind of loved every minute of it. I was actually glued to the screen because I was so compelled as to what was happening. I was like, Jesus, dude, like, I don't know if I could last that long with all the torture that they went through. So, I know it's long for some people, but for me personally, I was glued every single second. In terms of negatives, I realized that Scorsese has had the same editor on all of his films. There was a couple spots where like it was kind of weird where like people would be in the frame and they'd be doing their actions or whatever, and like they would do like a slight move or whatever, and then would just cut so it looked like a mistake almost. Like it looked like that scene went a little past than what the scene intended in the editing room, and they just cut to the next scene. So it was kind of a little jarring in a couple spots. I said spots, not scene spots. That kind of threw me off. I was like, oh, well, what was that? So besides that and the rewatchability, those are my only negatives, and I have no other negatives. And plus, Scorsese had like a 4-hour long cut of this movie. Jesus, what was that film? Special effects wise, some of the blood effects and the violence and stuff, I never felt like it was over the top or gratuitous. I felt like it was just right and kind of added that emotional punch and impact that you would want from the violence while not being like over the top and fucking ridiculous. So I think the violence and the special effects of the blood and whatnot were handled very well and very potent when they actually did happen on screen. The music is also really well done. Kind of adds like this kind of somber mood. It fits very well within the story and whatnot. So overall, guys, listen. As someone that isn't religious, I thought this was the best film about religion that I have seen. I have seen my fair share of those religious movies, the ones I mentioned before. I think they're fake. I think they don't really show anything. They cater to a certain audience and don't ever explore. That's what I like about Silence. It explores people of the Christian faith, people of different faiths, people with no faith, people with no faith but believe in the existence of a higher power. It is a movie that everyone can watch and appreciate and really kind of take away the greatness that you can see in religions. The reason why I don't like religions is because of the hate and the violence that it can cause and the terrible rhetoric that people can have to damage people's minds into thinking like this is right. Like, I hate that phrase, I don't hate the sinner, I just hate the sin. No, you hate the sinner because it does not match with your beliefs, and so therefore that person is wrong. And that's why I kind of hate religion, is because it can poison you into thinking that this is wrong, this is right, you have the right God, not what. No. What I like about this movie and kind of expressing is that there are thousands of religions out there. You don't need to approach your ideas on someone else when they already have their ideas set. And it kind of shows you a deeper appreciation for the many types of religions and what people believe in, the core convictions that people have, and the fact that you can't change them. And I kind of like the fact that people who hold on to a strong religious belief, they do use it for good, and they do use it to spread the good and wellness into people. And that's what I appreciate about religion and what people actually exercise, and not spread this hateful rhetoric. And I hate when people, because they even say it in the movie, like when they use, they say, religion is sometimes used to corrupt people. it's very true. Some religions, even Christianity, and like Muslims, Buddhists, Hindu, it doesn't matter. You're always going to have people within the religion to take advantage of it and really kind of spread hateful rhetoric towards people. I've never understood hate within religion. That's why in this movie it also counteracts with that, because it's like, if Buddhists are all about loving people, why are they killing people of a different faith? Like, it makes no sense to me. It's very hypocritical. And from what I've read about religion, Jesus Christ was the type of person that spread love towards everyone. So I don't get this like notion where like people use the Bible and passages from the Bible to shoot down like other people, whether it be from different religion, different sexuality, different race. I've never understood that, because Jesus was a loving person. From documented cases, this was just a normal dude that found the goodness in everyone and did the best he could to spread, the goodness within people. That's the whole thing about religion. The greatness of life, the greatness of a human being, and not violence and hate. So that, to a point, I find religion contradictory a little bit. Because when you watch this film, it's like, well, first of all, like, Christianity was trying to be spread amongst, Japanese people and whatnot. Some of them retaliated. Don't push your religion on other people. The other thing was, Japanese people were killing Christians because they believe differently than they do. And it's just like, don't do that either. So, religion has fascinated me for a long time on that type of level, in terms of like, its origins and like, how it was started and how you can get a lot of people to be behind it and whatnot. So for me personally, it didn't change my view on religion, but I have a deeper appreciation for it. I think the poison of the hatefulness that religion can spread, that people take advantage of, is what really kind of makes me mad. And, this film does highlight that, but it also highlights what faith can do for the good in a person. So I love the fact that this movie kind of goes back and forth and kind of shows many different avenues and aspects of religion, of faith. Guys, this is a powerful, brutal, emotional, psychologically torturous, uplifting in a way, movie about religion. It's one of the best I have seen in 2016, and it's definitely probably going to be one of my favorite Scorsese films. The only negatives, I don't really want to rewatch it again, and it's a heavy movie, guys. It's almost like if you want to ask me to pop in Schindler's List. I'm like, nope. Yeah, don't really know if I want to rewatch it again, even though I want to own it for my Scorsese collection. And there was a couple of like edit jarring moments that really kind of threw me off. But other than that, guys, Silence gets a solid A from me. I would have given it A+ if it had like that rewatchability factor, but I just feel like it's one of those experiences that you experience once and maybe you pop in 30 years later. I have no clue, but I'm glad this was Martin Scorsese's passion project, and I'm glad that he really kind of showed us the questions brought up about faith and religion while not having any answers, or any definitive answers. So Silence gets an A from me. So what about you guys? I know it was a little long-winded, but I think for me personally, that is not of a religious faith or faith in general. I think it's I was trying to explain myself as best as possible why I like this movie, and the things that happen within it, and the reality that we kind of face sometimes in life now, and questions of religious and faith. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I was just trying to be as accurate as possible. If I pissed off anyone, not my intention, but I'm just telling it like it is, and I will stop talking about this movie and religion because, this is not a religious show. Thank you for my passionate listener that sent me that email, but we're done with that one. So let's move on to the second film, A Monster Calls, and let me know down below if you've seen Silence or if you hated it, if you loved it. Let me know. A Monster Calls, guys. All right, so I saw this movie like 2 months ago, and I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't like pumped out of my mind to see it, so I overall enjoyed it. I think it's a solid film. So let's get real and break this down. So let's start with the writing and directing. As far as the story goes, I think it's a very emotional story. Once again, another heavy film, just like Silence, but I think what the director did, J.A. Bayona, was really kind of show what it's like for someone of the main character's age who was about 10 or 11, really kind of going through this process of losing a parent, and kind of show the kind of emotions that happen, whether it be fear or disgust, anxiousness or confusion. When you're that age, it's kind of like you don't know what to do when someone in your family is struck down with a terminal illness. Like, you just don't know how to react. You could be angry one day, you could be sad the next, because you're not young enough to not remember it, and you're not old enough to where like it really kind of affects you even more. You're kind of like at that weird age where like you're still a kid, but you're almost like a teenager. So to really kind of show this kid kind of cope with what his mother is dealing with, and like kind of like this fantasy realm where he gets his advice from a tree, which ironically played by Liam Neeson. Once again, Liam Neeson makes it twice this week. It's ironic because it's a tree that's in his head. It's very fantasy, so it's an escape from reality, but the tree itself is teaching him about the harsh realities that he's about to face with the losing of his mother, or the potential losing of his mother. So the story itself, I think, is very solid. It's very gripping, and I love the concept of looking at this boy at this age's point of view, and how he copes with what is happening, with his mom, with his dad, with his grandma. Like, he just doesn't know how to react, and so he kind of escapes reality to get advice from a tree. But those worlds, the fantasy worlds, they almost look like a fairy tale. They're very like scary, like kind of nightmarish almost, but they're very kind of inviting. It's kind of like that beautiful contrast there. So I thought the story itself was very good. The only problem I have, the major problem I have with this movie in general is the characters. Now, the characters themselves are fine, but we don't really know much about the mother or the father. And these are the two most important people for Lewis McDougall, who plays the main kid. They are the most important aspects about the film to really kind of show us the connection that he has with his mom and dad, and for us to actually connect with the characters. For me personally, the movie just starts and the mother is sick. She's already sick. And so we just kind of see her kind of, slowly dying, and we only kind of get hints of her past and like a little bit of her personality, but we really don't know her. And so, when she is sick, it's kind of hard for us to connect emotionally as an audience member while it's happening. And so that's like one of my biggest flaws about this movie, is that the characters are very one note and aren't really explored enough for me to where like I actually can connect and actually care a lot more. The father is the same way, where like he comes in for a couple scenes and like, yeah, they have their back and forth or whatever, and they have a revelation or reveal about their past and whatnot, but I never felt it. And I think it's because this story literally jumps in when everything is like, when the shit is hitting the fan. So that could have been it. But the story itself, I really enjoy. The characters, not so much. I think the kid is the most well-rounded character because we kind of see him, have this beautiful arc of kind of coming into the harsh devastations that he's about to endure. So I really liked his character, and the grandma was actually really good too. She had a lot of layering than a lot more than the mother and the father. So that's one of my biggest complaints, guys, is the character kind of attachment and development for us to actually care. Directing wise, I love what J.A. Bayona did. Now, J.A. Bayona, he's actually tapped to do the Jurassic World sequel, and I really liked what he did with the fantasy world and what he did with the real world. The real world was very grounded. I felt like this was a situation that an average person could go through, and I felt like I was in there with the family as they were going through this and whatnot. I really enjoyed the grounded nature of the real world, and then I love the construction of the fantasy world. I love the beautiful colors that pop out. I love the animation, and just like I said, it really kind of felt like a really kind of dark fairy tale that you just would want to go to and escape reality if you were in this situation. So I love both of the worlds that he constructs, and I think for the most part he creates a very solid story with a nice flow. Acting-wise, everyone is wonderful. Felicity Jones, regardless of what I think of her character, she delivered every single scene. Like, every time when she was on screen, like, you knew she was going to cry, and then you were going to cry, and you're like, I don't want to cry, Felicity. But I thought she really kind of inhabited the caring nature of her mother, regardless of what I thought of the development. But I thought she actually like had like the implications that she cared for her kid. I really liked that. I really liked the like I said, that motherly nature of her. I thought she delivered it very well. Sigourney Weaver was a nice little surprise. She's never a bad thing to add to a movie, but you know, she has a couple scenes where she kind of lashes out and whatnot. I was like, all right, Sigourney, I forgot you were still around and you could act like that. Thank you. Toby Kebbell plays the dad. Once again, I mean, he's serviceable, I guess, because he doesn't really have that many moments and his character's not really developed that much. So, I mean, he's fine. I love Toby Kebbell. I fucking love that guy. You want to watch him in any of his mocap performances or his Black Mirror episode, the guy is a talent. But I just thought he was serviceable in this. And then Louis McDougall. This kid was amazing. I actually would be okay if he was nominated for Best Actor. I would. Like, he was that good. And I felt everything that he was going through. He was kind of like this outcast at school. I can kind of relate to that. He is very artistic in creating these imaginative worlds, and I'm a filmmaker, so like I understood that. So I connected to the kid a whole lot more because I have had family members who have been sick and whatnot, so I understood what this kid was going through, and the fact that he was that age, like all the emotions were there, all the outbursts were there, the anger, the sadness. It was so well done, and this kid will definitely be in the business for a while. So cinematography-wise, going back to the whole Fable look, it looks like a dark Fable. I love the fantasy worlds. It kind of has like a horror vibe to it, which is great because it kind of gives me a good indication of what J.A. is going to do when he does Jurassic World 2. So I thought the way it looked was stunning. In the real world had like this dark kind of muted tone, but the handheld cinematography was elegant. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Editing and special effects. All right. And this is where one of my other problems lies, besides the characters. Editing-wise, the movie's about 2 hours long. I never felt like it dragged once, but I can see how, as emotionally heavy as this is, just like with Silence, I feel like a lot of people might find this boring or they might find it too long-winded. But for me personally, I thought it had like a nice kind of like slow burn feel to it. It wasn't like anything action-packed or anything excuse me, fast paced or anything, but it was something to allow the material to breathe very, very well and really kind of throw you into this universe. So I didn't mind the overall story structure and pace to it. Special effects, there's a lot of green screen. There was a couple shots where it looked too noticeable, where it was like, I realize like what's happening on screen, but Louis McDougall looks like he's in front of a green screen. But besides a couple of the shots, I thought everything else was actually kind of beautiful. Like the actual animation, the animatronics of the tree done by Liam Neeson was awesome. Every time they did a close up on his face, I saw the ridges, I saw the individual like wood kind of pieces in his face and whatnot. And I was like, this is some really good CGI, especially for like not really an indie film, but kind of just a low budget film in general. I was really impressed that the animation, VFX, special effects, all that were really well handled, given the budget they did have. But that also gives me another indication that Jurassic World 2 will be very good in terms of animatronics and CGI and stuff, considering what he did on this project. The music is also a nice little kind of blanket, if you will, for the film. It's very kind of hypnotic almost, and very emotionally impactful. I really like the music quite a bit. Overall, guys, listen, besides the characters not being really as connective as I wanted it to, and some of the green screen shots, I still think this is a solid film that you should check out. If you are, actually both of these films, holy shit, both of these films are so heavy that you might, if you did these back to back, you might need to like watch like 5 comedies in a row afterwards. So, A Monster Calls, really thought it was a solid emotional journey, showing the grievance process of a kid who's not really too young or too old, and kind of just figuring out like what to do and how to cope with the situation. Really kind of, very, like I said, ironically getting advice from a talking tree, to where he was trying to escape, but the tree tries to embrace him for the real life happenings, if you will. So I think overall, guys, I'm going to give A Monster Calls a solid B. So, what did you guys think of Monster Calls? Or have you even heard of it? Comment in the place from my face and let me know. So, Silence gets an A. Monster Calls gets a B. Yeah, so let me know down below about the 2 movies that were discussed today. So, guys, let's get into the box office results for the weekend. I'm going to open up my internet window and see if Box Office Mojo wants to come up. No, it does not. So, all right, I'm going to my phone. Guys, this is what happens when you do this shit live. Hold on. Hold on now. All right. All right. Top 5 for the weekend. Oh, my God. Okay, so first of all, Silence comes in at 19th place with 480,000. Considering the fact that I went to a screening yesterday and was sold out, that's actually kind of low. Or it just seems low. What else? Monster Calls came in at 13th place with 2 million. It had a nice surplus of like 1,000 theaters, so that definitely really helped. And of course, Silence is only in like 50 theaters, so that's probably why. But I mean, considering the fact that it was sold out yesterday, gave me a good indication that it would do well, but I guess not. That's it for the ones I talked about today. So number 5, La La Land with 10 million. It's probably helping that movie the fact that it's like nominated for a bunch of Golden Globes, and that is later on tonight. So with the 10 million domestically, which is the U.S. and Canada, it's at 51 million, and worldwide it's at 85 million right now. That's a lot more than I thought I would get. Its production budget is 30 million. You guys know the rule: double the budget and add some P&A and marketing to it, because the theaters got to take their cut. So with 30 million, doubling that, we get 60. With P&A and marketing, I'm going to say they probably would spend about anywhere from 5 to 10 million. So I'm going to say 70 million for shits and giggles to probably break even. The fact that it's made 85 so far, I'm glad that this movie is profitable. Number 4. I mean, you guys, listen. When I said I was doing Silence and A Monster Calls this weekend, you guys were probably like wondering, like, why aren't you doing Underworld Blood Wars, you know? The 5th installment. Because it looks fucking awful. So, number 4 is Underworld Blood Wars with 13.1 million. That is way more than I thought I would get. Its budget, 35 million. What? It seems like its budget is going down each installment. So, double that. We're looking at 70 with P&A marketing. Probably anywhere from 80 to 90 million. And domestically, it's 13 million. Worldwide, it's at 55. I can't believe it's actually going to make its money back. Give it some time. The foreign market will take it over. Fuck. Number 3 is Sing, which I did not like, with 19.5 million. Right now, Sing is at 213 domestically and 356 worldwide on a $75 million budget. Double that to 150 with P&A marketing. They did a lot. Someone say about 200 to break even. So they're doing pretty well. Number 2. It went from 17th place last week to number 2. Hidden Figures with 21.8 million. And that is the domestic number. It's got 24 million right now on a $25 million budget. So with P&A marketing doubling that, I'm going to say about 60 to break even. Guys, Hidden Figures is a great movie. I like that movie quite a bit. I gave it like a B+ or something like that. I would recommend that one as well. And number 1, no surprise here, Rogue One, a Star Wars story with 21.9 million. Let's see. Fucking internet. Hold on. So domestically, it's got 477, and worldwide it's at 914. It will probably reach the $1 billion club. Jesus. The more I think about the movie, the more I just don't really care for it. Its budget's $200 million, but you know it's Star Wars, so they probably spend like anywhere from $50 to $100 million in advertising and marketing and whatnot. So I'm gonna say like $500 million to break even. Yeah, it's almost to $1 billion. It's doing fine. So that's your box office numbers for the week, guys. And guys, that is it for our show this week for episode 163. Next week, episode 164, I will have my reviews of. What's coming out? Well, I gotta do the episode early because I got things going on during the weekend, so I will have the episode actually go up on Thursday, and I will have my reviews of 20th Century Women and Bye Bye Man. So it's going to be a very odd mix, but that's okay. I'll give you guys a studio horror film and a very independent drama. So there you go. Diversity. So yeah, on Thursday will be the 20th Century Women and Bye Bye Man episode for 164. And also, I ain't done today. Later on tonight, it happens at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is the time zone I am in. I will do my live coverage of the Golden Globes like I did last year. I will basically record it from start to finish and just give you guys my reaction while I'm watching it, and if my picks are right or my choice is correct. So so look out for that. I will have a bonus episode where I cover the Golden Globes later on tonight. It should be a lot of fun. But that is it for this week's episode, though, for 163, but I will be back on later tonight and next Thursday. Follow me on Twitter at RealChaseLee. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this around, and tell people this is the definitive movie podcast. Because, hey, listen, if you made it through this entire thing and you were not a movie fan, well, hopefully I convinced you to be one. I'm Chase Lee, guys, and this has been another episode of Real Me and a movie podcast. Peace out, everyone. And the intro and outro music is done by my friend's band, Fervent Roze. Check them out. All the links in the description below. You guys are fucking awesome. See you tonight for the Golden Globes, yo. And hey, listen, if you're listening to this episode later on in the week and you want to go back and listen to the Golden Globes episode, well, you can do that as well. But anyways, you guys are fucking dope. Peace out.